Second. One, two, three, in the place to be. It's your player partners from the bottom of the map.
On the bottom of the map,
Your dog is real.
I Hayes.
And before we jump in, I know it's been a while. It's been a little minute, but make sure you go ahead, hit that like, subscribe, share, get that notification whenever the videos drop. And as always, if you got something to get off your chest, go ahead and jump in them comments and we're gonna jump in with you. Um, been a little minute, you know what I'm saying? Been a little minute. We just
Mm,
kind of, sitting back, letting things simmer. I do want to shout out, the people doing my dog South Coast Kane doing the rise and the fall. That series been keeping me on point. You know what I'm saying? They're going through some intense,
Out to that
intense
boy.
hurricane history. So shout out to South Coast Kane and his whole squad because them boys in there going in. Also, shout out to Mr. No Sweater Picks. You know, that's you know, we're gonna shout out our people. We're gonna shout out our people. But
Straight up,
a
straight
lot of stuff has been bubbling on the football side. So, this is off season. This is kind of like free agency. You know,
Basically, that's exactly what this is
it's
for you.
basically free agency. And we was talking a little bit earlier. Whatever the university budget is for getting players, getting the NIL deals, hooking them up however they go, Mario is spinning the bag. He getting every player he want. I don't know who else he gonna get. He might start getting players from NFL. I don't know. But this is calling card. This is calling card. Like this is what he supposed to make his name behind, and I'm gonna give him props because y'all be saying I be hating on Mario and what he be doing. So I'm gonna give him his props. He look, it's players out there. He getting them. He getting them. I got something else to say about that later, but I'm gonna let you go ahead and
Yeah,
jump
I'm
in.
like you. I'm like, look, you know what? I don't want to come across as a hater because obviously, you know what I'm saying. We bleed orange and green. But I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait for the smoke to clear. Like I watch everybody like, yeah, we got him, we got him, we got him. And there have been some notable players, but I'm still looking at it like, boy, you don't went 5-7, you don't went damn near 7-6. Every year, you know what I'm saying, you done had a better and better roster. So I don't know. I'm just looking at it like, okay, yeah, you got this, you got that. And obviously at this point, I looked at a couple players and I was like, damn, the talent gap is getting so big on our schedule. It's to the point where it's like it ain't even about him coaching no more. Like you're just gonna out talent everybody else. And most of the fans that don't know no better, they just like, yeah, I'm good with that. I just want to win. I don't care what it looked like. I don't care if it's last 2 or 3 years. I just want to win now. And I get that. You know what I'm saying? It's a fan base starving. So I don't know. But like I said, I'm just looking at it like, okay. And I mean, a lot of the players are players who are seasoned, right? Because we lost players, right? We got a couple players that never, came in hype, and I guess that's expected with everybody. After looking at everybody though, I'm just looking at it like, all right, you know what? We got the schedule, and I still feel unmoved. I still feel like no matter what, just on talent alone, like I've seen us this last year have way more talent than everybody else, and you still find ways to lose games. So I still feel like he's gonna find a way to lose 3 games. I don't care just because at a certain point you're gonna have to get so coaching. You're gonna get into a dogfight, and I'm just like, okay, you got all this talent, but are you gonna do a vanilla offense? Yeah, you're gonna go vanilla or you're gonna freestyle. I do like the running back though. Why do I like the running back? Because yards after contact, he was second last year. And I'm like, okay, that's Oregon State. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I hear a lot about this line. This line is going to be better. And I was like, damn, you know what? This running back, like, Buddy got the bag. Like, he really finna come here and show out. So I feel like having that type of running back and obviously to go along with the quarterback, I'm like, okay. And I was like, that's what Mario wants, right? Like, he going to continue to make sure, you know what I'm saying? Like, look, this ain't nothing but like a poor man's Jim Harbaugh, right? He wants to be able to run people over and just impose his will, only throw when he really exactly has to, right? And so I'm like, all right, this running back. And I guess I'm like, you know what? I just want to believe, but nah, he's a punishing running back. He likes the contact. And I was like, damn, you know what? I do like that. I like them running backs that, you know what, and it's not like I'm going off of just, oh, could he? I'm like, nah, this is exactly what he did last year, punishing out there. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I like that. I like, obviously we've been seeing a lot of people on the edge, a lot of D line, and I'm like, all right, cool, because D line has already been what it's going to be. So I was like, all right, somebody else is not finna have time to throw. Like they finna get to the quarterback. So I was like, okay, he wants to run, he gonna get to the quarterback, and I just was like, all right, but he gonna find a way to lose them couple games. Um, when I'm looking at Florida too, Florida seat just got hotter just because Jaden Rashada went on ahead and sued, which that's going to set a whole nother precedent. Two presidents that came up this week is that the NCAA has agreed to start doing revenue sharing. So I was like, okay, you didn't want to do that. You had to. They couldn't really get involved in the Jaden because everybody is going straight to court. So we're really watching the beginning of the end of the NCAA. The same way that we're talking about how Sports Illustrated is over, it's going to be a time when there's really not going to be any NCAA. The two leagues, which is going to be the SEC and the Big Ten, they're just going to come up with their own enforcement, and it's going to be in-house. And anything else, you're going to go straight to court. That's
So
already.
I got a question. I got a question about that. Not to get you off track. What do you think about? I guess like the direction of the NCAA, because you talked about the two leagues. Do you think like all the leagues are just going to dissipate and it's just going to be the SEC and the Big Ten, and then
Ultimately, just because of money, that's the only thing that they care about, right? And I think ultimately, do I think it's happening overnight? No, I think it's going to be
I know the
slow.
ACC just joined the lawsuit, so they just hopped in the lawsuit against the NCAA.
Yeah, I think the eight, like people, it's really just because of Florida State. You know, and obviously we know the Big 12 is a weaker league. I see a slow death though. I see the ACC and the Big 12 banding together if those other people leave, and I see like, nah, they're not gonna go willingly, and I think it's gonna be a big three for a while. So when I say ultimately, there's no more NCAA, there's no more NCAA, and there's two. I still feel like honestly we're like 20 years away. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? People, anytime that people see you think something is happening overnight, it'll never go like that. And you know what I'm saying? Like, and not just that, there's so much lawsuits going on to the point where I was like, look, it's already a good contract. Florida State and them ain't going nowhere. But I think Jaden Rashada, what he's doing is about to set precedents. And I also think it puts the pressure on Florida. I think now with this right here, if what's the name don't have a good season, but I think him beating UM, which I forgot where that game is played. That game is played in Gainesville, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
Swamp.
yeah. They could beat UM first game of the season. That's gonna go a
Is
long
that
way.
who has more of a must win in that game, Mario or Florida? Who has the must
Florida,
win?
Florida has a higher bar for winning, and they have fickle fans. They fire coaches after 2 and 3 years after they win things. The UM fans are happy with 3 losses. Really low key, UM fans are happy with 9-4. They'll take 4 losses. They'll be happy, and the majority of the fan base is going to think that Mario is the best thing with sliced bread. Like, and UM just doesn't have. They don't have a high caliber for winning. So when they get down to it, it's a must win for him, and their schedule is more brutal. So really for them, it's like, nah, you really need this game because going into the season, you're gonna have 4 or 5 losses. There ain't no way around that. You got to play the Alabama. You got to play too many good people. And I don't know if, and once again, I think he's a better coach on the X and O's. He's probably nobody is better than Mario at recruiting, right? But I think as far as X and O's, everybody is better. So I think that I think all that talent is great, but I think he can get out coached. And I don't think any person who loves Mario, when people who love Mario never talk about his coaching acumen, because you can't. You can't. You're gonna look, you know what I'm saying? At that point, you're gonna be like a Drake fan arguing like why he won a battle if you go that route. So you can't say that. So I think he can get out coached. But do I think they can make it competitive? Yes, I do. And I still think, yeah, there's a good chance that UM could still win that game. But I just look at it like, you know what? I don't see us, you know what I'm saying? If it's a close, tough game, I just don't see us going in. But I think that lawsuit, I think that Jaden has a very compelling case because I think that promises were made to him. Because you remember when he was supposed to come to UM at one time? Yes, he was supposed to go
Yeah.
to UM.
Uh-huh.
Supposed to go to UM. And he was going to get, listen, UM was going to get that boy by something stupid, which between me and you, I was like, I like him. He got a strong arm. Don't do
Yeah.
it. Nah, he's not who you think he is. But that's the thing about Mario. They won't just go after talent, they will go after big names. So really that's a save right there, because if that's our starting quarterback, oh, this dude don't got no accuracy. He don't got no accuracy. So, he's at Georgia, but who knows if he'll play at Georgia or not. So I just think that it's a bad look for Florida all off rip coming into the offseason. And then they get Cormani McClain too.
They did get Cormani McClain. Yep.
Listen, I'm starting to look at their roster like, nah, UM has more talent than them, transfer wise, and we were higher ranked than them. So I think that's the only reason why I say, well, look, it's not like they could just run us over. They just, if they beat us, it's because we got out coached. If we beat them, we just got way more talent than them.
What? So are there any games that you think are must outside of the cupcakes? Like, are there any like for people to start really believing? Are there any like must win games? Like, is the Florida State game a must win game? Like,
No,
do we gotta beat Florida State this year?
no, you don't. These fans, listen, when I saw people making excuses when we lost to Middle Tennessee and it was embarrassing, I said, oh my God, they gonna make an excuse. Well, that was Manny's roster. Look at them. That was Manny's roster. No, bruh. No good coaches getting beat by Middle Tennessee. No, it ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the
Not
day,
just beat, not a close game. We got blowed out
they got
that game.
spanked, boy. They got spanked. And so, yeah. And then I'm thinking even last year, you know what I'm saying? Like we had a couple of come on, Rutgers. Who was Rutgers? Yeah, and I know what people are gonna say. They're gonna say, "Oh, you didn't have this," but you got out coached once again. Our offense was looking stagnant. So I just think once again that they're honestly the only must-win games are the cupcakes. Do the same thing you did last year, just win a little bit more. Like I said, man, they'll be happy. And you don't have to win the bowl game. They could once again have 3 losses, lose the bowl game, go 9-4. I think, and now the diehard fans, the people that know football, bro, it ain't no reason for you to really who you really supposed to lose to with this talent you have. Talent-wise, you're supposed to run the table. Talent-wise, you're supposed to run the table. If you have what I ain't no religious man, but they say if you have the coaching of a mustard seed, all right? Like if he who believes, then there is nobody on that schedule that should beat you. Florida State, they don't got no quarterback again. You know
They
that
lost a lot of like their roster. They lost a lot of players. A lot of
they
players.
did. They got it. They're gonna have a fort, but they're gonna lean on their defense again, and those players are gonna be good. So if you really think about it, their offense was it wasn't killing nobody. That's why when they switched quarterbacks, it was like, okay, it was a huge drop off because they could be stagnant and their defense will put them in games. Mm-hmm. That boy DJ Ugly, whatever his name is, boy, that boy DJ Ugly. Look, I'm gonna tell you like this: he ain't it. He wasn't it at Clemson. He was decent at Oregon State. He was decent, but I was like, I'm talking about that boy capital D and decent. So I was like, I ain't seen our quarterback play, and I know he better than that. Got to be better than that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, look, they don't got no quarterback again. So if you lose to Florida State with no offense, a second-rate quarterback, and straight defense, bro, come on, bro. Come on now. Come on. You don't want it then. You don't want it. You don't want it. You can lose to Louisville again and it'll be okay. But I think if you're a diehard fan and you know football, how are we really supposed to lose? I guess we could take a trap game if that's what you want to call it. But it's like you got so much talent that you real talk, you got the running back and the quarterback to where you could have a vanilla offense every other series and you still should be able to win. You've been transformed.
We still got Mark Fletcher, so don't forget about him.
You got Mark Fletcher and Damian Martinez, and you're gonna have somebody else over there because don't they still got that boy who transferred who was the little boy I liked from Nebraska? He's still on there. I think he's still on there.
AJ.
Yeah. So I'm like, you got all of them. You got another receiver from Houston. Okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? You don't have a lot of height, but first of all, we had a great recruiting class. We still got people from the bench who didn't play last year. So once again, when we just talk about in terms of talent, that DB that I was talking about, I think his name is Dion or something like that. He's actually from the state of Florida. He went to high school in Gainesville, and he had a breakout season last year. And he came from Marshall. Guess who was at Marshall? Our Lance Goodry. So I'm like, okay, you got these players. You got extra depth along the D line. You got 5 stars. You lost players. You got more players. Yo, if you have with this roster, Lane Kiffin is going undefeated in the ACC. There's no reason. Florida State just went undefeated.
Mm,
Florida
mm,
State just went undefeated.
mm.
So it's like, okay, at what point, you know what I'm saying? But you got to
Would you
give
say would you say Norvell is a better coach than
I was
Mario?
just about to say that. What I say, listen, I'm gonna be hot. Listen, if you know this channel, Mario King Coach, y'all know that. Don't lie to yourself. We you feel me? It's almost like a woman that you selling a little bit of pussy, but you're not a hoe. But you deep down, you gotta tell yourself, you's a hoe. You's a hoe. There ain't no way around it, and it's okay. So I'm not trying to like that. Listen, I'm optimistic, but I'm not finna lie. No, we don't. We got out coached by Georgia Tech that whole game until the end, but they were out coached the whole game, and that right there is a coach. So no, I think as far as coaches, right? I think that talent wise, what I think of his coaching, I think coaching wise, he's a bottom tier ACC coach. I
Mm,
think if he loses his job at he will end up on somebody else's staff purely based on recruiting and O&D line. You're not going to see him go to somewhere like FIU where he failed at miserably, right? Because
yeah.
he did last time he had a small time job, he failed miserably. So let's not make any bones about it. He's not the type of person who can build. He can't outcoach anybody, so it has to be talent, right? And do we have anybody in the comments who doesn't think that Oregon is about to exceed expectations like they did last year and this year? In 2 years there, we do not think that Oregon has a better coach than Mario. Let's ask Oregon fans. Find me an Oregon fan who thinks that their coach now is worse than Mario or is on the same level. No, Oregon is going to tell you based on the record, that, hey, we are a better team. Who was their starting quarterback last year?
Oregon?
Yes,
Oh, Knicks.
exactly. Who I rest my case. They got a better record now. When Mario was there, they had Justin Herbert. They got Bo Nix to go in the first goddamn round. So we're not gonna have
That's
that
true.
argument. But I
That's
like their
true.
coach. I think their coach is good. I think Norvell is a better coach. I think Georgia Tech has a better coach. And their record last year, I think Louisville. Has one of the best coaches in the ACC. I
And
think that guy.
Manny gonna go on a revenge tour. So
We play them too, right?
I believe we do play Duke.
If we play Duke, for me, for UM fans, that's a must-win game.
Well, no,
You
that's a much win. Okay.
okay, that's your must-win game. You lose to Duke in Manny first year with less talent. Nah, ain't no way around that. Ain't no way around that. But once again, UM fans, they're just gonna look at the record. And it's the fans that don't know anything are gonna say, we still win 9-4. Why are you talking in facts? It's the record. I'm telling you now. That's for me, that's the must-win game. You can't lose to, and I said a freshman coach. Nah, he's been a coach before, but still, this is his freshman campaign at Duke, new quarterback. Defense, they lost the impact players. So to me, that's the only, and that's just more of just to say, like, you don't want the old Miami coach to beat the new Miami coach with not even. Did Duke even have a top 20 recruiting class? No, they did not. I don't have to check it. They did not. They did not. You can argue me down in the comments. They did not. I'm not checking. I don't know, but I'm like, nah, this Duke, okay? Duke maybe had a top 30, maybe a top 30. I'm not going to say it's a must-win game, but do you want to lose to Louisville again? Even if you have 4 losses, do you want to lose to Louisville again? You know what I'm saying? Even though I think they're going to have a better quarterback this year, but that was all coaching. We saw that same team play Florida State and get drugged. Couldn't put nobody on there. And I'm like, yo, it's a better coach. So that's the only thing that can stop you in is Mario.
Mm.
It's Mario. You got a Ferrari, but your driver sucks. Your driver sucks. Okay. And so it's going to be about coaching decisions. And when he lost, he's going to hit you with that same thing. Mark my words. He lose to Florida. I thought we executed well, but I thought, during crucial times, we just didn't get it done. And that's on me. And that's all you're going to get. You're never going to get facts from him. Why? You're never going to get facts from the fans because when it get down to it, it's all about talent. So excuse me if we haven't shot a video, but I mean, it's like, look, you're giving me the talent. But like I said, if you're just a diehard, football, not you amateurs, but you people that respect the fact that Louisville beat us with a less roster. You respect the fact that Georgia Tech. And we had better rosters than all of them. We got out coached. So what it's going to come down to is we have so much talent that we're just going to out talent certain people. But I think that if he just coaches a little bit, there's no reason you can't run the table. Two
I,
losses then. You
I,
lose
I
two.
agree. I agree with that. I think if he coaches, if he gets a little bit better in coaching with the talent that we have, we can run the table. One thing you did touch on, and I said we're gonna do another video on is the talent gap. That's one thing that Lane Kiffin talked about is that he got as much out of the talent that he could get, and it's just like you just got to get more talent. You got to get better talent. You can't all your 3 stars. You got the most out of them. You got to start getting 5 stars, and you see what Lane did with what he has, and we're going to see what he does with because he's hitting the transfer portal. His recruiting has gone up, so we're going to see
They
what
have
he
one of
does
the
with
best
the top
portal
tier.
classes. They had a better portal class than UM.
Yeah,
Uh,
so we're going to see what he does with top level talent. We see what he did with like really good talent, but not top level talent.
Mind
Mind
you,
you,
that's the SEC though. So he's talking about
SEC,
you got 2 losses. You got a loss to Alabama. You
close
got a loss
loss,
to Georgia.
close
You think
loss.
Lane Kiffin with that same roster, they're not losing to Louisville, and they're not losing to Florida State. Florida State, I still think that defense was legit. I think it
Yeah,
was good, but they beat LSU, and I think no Ole Miss barely beat LSU, so they had a
that
shootout.
was a shootout. Yeah, that was a
It
shootout
was
game.
a shootout. But I don't think that FSU would have just been able to stop the Lane train offensively. I think it would have been a close game. And I think that once again, dog, that FSU team, as far as defense, even though I talked whatever, we got to put respect where it's due.
Mm,
That defense,
yeah,
that was $1 million baby. All right. That was $1 million
yeah.
baby. Like that
I mean,
defense,
we watched that defense without a quarterback in 2 games, not just the Louisville game, in the Florida game too. Basically, like shut down 2 offenses. Like they didn't. Florida couldn't move the ball. Louisville could barely get across the 50-yard line, barely, and they were full strength. They got everybody on their squad.
what that Louisville defense did to us.
Yeah, well, they put up 38 points on us.
When the Saints come marching in, or when the Saints, them boys march right down. And I'm talking about we
Yeah,
barely shootout. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. But what I was gonna say was that talent does mean a lot, right? You gotta have the talent. You gotta have, what I'm saying, the dogs out there to go out on the field and execute. But you gotta have the coaching. So I'm just like, all right, because people are saying, okay, they loving what we're doing in the portal, right? We got
Not
Cam
yet.
Ward, we got Martinez, we just got the defensive end from Tennessee. We're getting like all the big names, right? And I'm just like,
We're
oh,
getting big names, but then we're getting a lot of solid depth players. Like we got that
but
dude.
you need that. You need that on your team, right?
No,
And
you do.
you
You
think
do.
about a
You
good coach. The coach is going to maximize their talent, right? So you're going to need some depth. You're going to need a couple stars. You're going to need some solid role players, some people that are gonna come in and just be like stabilizers. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not gonna when one your star comes out, like it's not going to be a drop off. You're going to keep it stable. But
That Tennessee player is that Michigan State player is that. Those are great stabilizers.
stabilizers. That's all you need. You just somebody that's gonna, relieve, get some relief, get some players who, what I'm saying, who might be gassed off the field, and then, get your big dogs back in the game. But and like I said, I think the next video I wanna dive into it because I did do some research on, the recruiting classes of all of our opponents from the last couple of years. And the thing that stood out to me most is Mario, even at Oregon, Mario is a prime time recruiter. This
Yes.
is this is this is his gift, right? Some like you got some offensive minds, you got some defensive minds. You even got Beamer ball with the special teams. Mario ain't really like his gift is recruiting. That's his gift. That's what he's super talented at. But I'm just like, at a certain point, how wide does the gap need to be to ensure victories? Do we need to be? We have the number one recruiting class and the number one transfer portal class, and then everybody else we play has the 50th ranked class and lower. Like, at what point does it become like you can't get any more? Like, you're gonna be busting out the seams with talent. The talent gonna be falling all over the place. It's gonna be so much talent they're not gonna be able to get on the field. It's gonna be too much talent. And then if you're not able to use all of that talent, a la, let's say like a team like um that LSU team that had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson on the same team. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you got two number one receivers playing at the same time, and they maximize both of them. Like, if you're not able to do that, then like what's the point of having all this talent busting out the seams, and it's not going to, like, you have this much talent. I know what you're saying. 9-3 is probably a safe bet, but we should be going 12-0 or 11-1 at the worst, because the talent gap. And if people keep preaching, 'cause I keep seeing this, I'm seeing other podcasts and everybody keep talking about how much the talent, the talent rich roster. Well, we'd have had top recruiting class last year, top recruiting class the year before that. Like, at a certain point, it's just like, what is it going to be outside of having talent? Because we're talent rich. Even let's say we don't have, because and like I said, the next video we're gonna give it to it. How many 5 stars or 4 stars, 3 stars. Some teams get a lot of 5 stars, a la Ohio State, Oregon. Um, but that don't mean you're gonna win just because you got the 5 stars. You know what I'm saying? You got
What
the
was
five
Ohio
stars.
State's record last year during the regular season?
Ohio State, did they had
One
one,
loss.
they had one loss, and yeah, that one loss was
Oregon,
again
they only had 2 losses.
2 losses. They had, and their only 2 losses was to Washington.
Was to Washington.
So you know what I'm saying. I want to dive into, and I would say that for the next video, to the recruiting classes of our opponents, so we can see at the end of the season, we can't say, "Hey, we need more talent." It wasn't the talent. All right, we're gonna go into it, because then you could quantify it. Be like, "Hey, against NC State, they had this number of recruiting class, this many 5 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, whatever, and we had this many. Why we didn't? If the gap is a huge margin, then if that's what's going to be the metric, then the victory should look like that. And how we beat teams, not just squeaking out these 13-7 wins where it's just like, nah, we should be beating the fuck out of people. That should have, if we're gonna go off the talent, and the talent says, if you have this much talent versus your opponent, this, like, it's almost like doing some statistics. Like, the probability of the margin of victory based off the talent should be this much. If we're squeaking out victories against Ball State and NC State and
What we
Georgia
lost to NC
Tech,
State, bro? What it was, something stupid,
yeah,
right?
we lost
Nine.
to NC State 21-7.
Look, the only people that are in love with the sexy talent is people who really know deep down they don't know football.
I'm
And them,
excited. Listen, I'm excited. When I see the name, I'll be like, hey, we got a motherfucking squad. But at the same time, like, reality is
bro,
like, what we gonna do
even if
with
you
it?
would have won against Georgia Tech, you squeaked by Georgia Tech. Georgia
Squeak.
Tech don't got a top 40 class.
Mm.
Maybe top 40. Maybe.
Oh,
Maybe.
oh yeah.
So it's like the podcast, those same podcasts. And we watch some of them, right? I ain't gonna say no names. After the loss, they don't never want to say the obvious, where they went wrong. And it's like, well, no, now. Because if you think about it, we told y'all this was gonna happen. We bought the only juice that we drank was Texas A&M.
Yeah,
But before that, we was like, look, man, it could go like this or it can go like this. And I was like, that was your audition, because really you had no business losing with the talent that you had to Middle Tennessee. We know Middle Tennessee ain't got no top 50, no top 60 class that year. So with the talent that you had, now we get it. Mario can only win with top level talent. So that is the calling card, though, right? This particular coach can only win with the Georgia roster. He can't do what a NC State did. He can't do what a Georgia Tech did. He can't do, when we really talk about beating top level teams, and maybe you have, like, because think about it, Washington really only had in one player who was so, like, their receivers, right? were great receivers, but no one would say you had better receivers in Alabama. No one was going to say you had better receivers in Georgia. No one was going to say you had better receivers in Texas. Yeah, they liked, we was like, okay, you know what? Nah, we love this quarterback, but they still weren't ready to say he was better than the rest of these quarterbacks, right? So this is when you take a team like that who is like, listen, I have talent, but I'm such a great coach, I'm going to get the most out of them, right? It's also about knowing, like, look, people that are in love with the talent do not want to face the ugly, hard truth, the dirty secret in college football that Mario cannot coach up talent, and he don't have an offensive mind. He don't have a defense mind. Low key, he don't know what he doing. Really, when it get down to it, right? He has these practices. He knows how to talk. But sales, he's elite. He's elite. He knows how to talk it good. We know he got friends like Josh Pate. So they even got us wanting to believe it. And I like Pate, but I'm like, no, Pate, you're wrong. Why are you wrong? Because us diehard fans, we know you win. And we listen, I think Mario is a nice guy. I think it's a cool guy. I think we had him on the show. I don't think I try to drill him in. I'd wait to the very end and I'd say, Mario, what do you have to say to the fans, maybe us, maybe not, who feel like, hey, if you don't win at least 9-3, 9-4, 10-3, what do you have to say about that? I think that he will give us a great political answer. That's what I think. I think that you got to look at the harsh truths. You got to say, hey, at the end of the day, we can have all the talent in the world and we can even win some close games, but we're really only going to go as far as this coach can go. And at the end of the day, he has no plans on being elite. So the bar for us is maybe playing in the ACC title game and sleeping into the playoffs. And as long as you do that, the majority of the fan base doesn't care about that. They just care about wins and they care about losses. And when they have a loss, they're going to come in there and make excuses, or they're going to get mad and they're going to swear they didn't know. We're telling you now, we're not going 11-1. Should we? Yes. Yes. But that shouldn't, like, we have so much talent. When we do that next episode, you're going to see we got the most talent out of all the rosters that we're playing. So that's without us even looking, right? Now it's just going to come down to, you know what, like how off is it? You know what I'm saying? To the point where it's like, all right, this team has the 30th ranked class. Like, what is NC State's ranked class? What is Louisville? We know that it's not just the fact that we have more than them. It's like they have this. So when we circle this, when we do this episode and we circle back and we're like, damn, you remember how you lost to that team? Is that excusable? What do those other podcasts have to say? They don't care because they don't want facts. They don't want facts. And what they'll say is, why did we lose? We lost. Even though you lost on a fumble, it was never supposed to be close. And how do we know that? Because when we looked at Vegas, Vegas would have, Georgia Tech, it'll be like by 14 points. We were not expected. No one predicted, not those other podcasts, not Vegas, not ESPN. Nobody predicts that we're in the dogfight. They're looking at it in amazement. Even when we squeak it out, they're like, oh, okay. You didn't squeak it out because terrible, terrible, terrible to horrible decisions. And we saw that throughout the season. So you can have the talent. I love the talent. I love the dogs. But just know that if the games ever get close, you guys are going to be happy with a squeaked in victory. That's going to be a telltale sign. So that's all I got for you.
Hey, well, listen, that's the in and out to it. We're gonna keep it locked in. We just been sitting in the background, you know what I'm saying, just watching, all the the action, that's been happening in the background. I know it's a lot of other people that's throwing content out there. But yeah, we're just kind of just waiting and seeing how things shake out during spring and going into summer. But yeah, we're gonna keep hitting y'all with content. But as always, make sure you tap in, hit the like button, subscribe, share to your auntie, tell your auntie to tell her big booty friend, to tell her friends to tap in, jump in the comments. We know y'all will. We're gonna jump in with you. And until next time, this your player partners from the bottom of the map.
On the bottom of the map,
Shit, we gone.
gone.